Namaste, aloha, and welcome. This is the beginning of a series of videos I'm going to do on the reading of the Krishna book, as translated, the compiling of the 10th canto by Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada and his commentary. And my name is James. Some of you know me as James. My spiritual name is Janapati Das. And so what we're going to do in these videos is I'm going to read from the Krishna book, which is a wonderful story about the pastimes and the relations of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It was originally compiled some 5,000 years ago or more from Srila Vyasadeva, who is the compiler who compiled the Vedas and the Mahabharata and the Vedanta Sutras. Originally, the Vedas, as we know them today, were oral and much larger. And but in this current age, just known as the Iron Age or the Kali Yuga Age, which is the age of quarrel and confusion, Srila Vyasadeva understood that humanity would be too, I don't want to say stupid, but that's basically the term, to basically follow the Vedas or remember the Vedas in their mind. So he compiled these things, he wrote them down. Oftentimes people think that the Vedas were written and understood or compiled by a man or men. Sometimes people say that, the Word of God is not the Word of God because it's written down by men. This is not really true, because everything from the Vedas, all the literatures and scriptures are come from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And but in this case, they were written down before they were understood. They were handed down from teacher to student orally, and you would memorize it. So that being said, we're going to read from the Krishna book, and of course, I like to start and end with the most important form of meditation, which is called kirtan meditation. And I'm going to take my guitar right now. Kirtan meditation is a very simple meditation. Oftentimes people don't really understand what meditation is. They think, oh, it's something I put my mind on or my focus on, which is true partially, but meditation is to actually come to know who we are and what our relationship is to the Supreme. And in this form of kirtan meditation, it's a mantra meditation. Mantra comes from two Sanskrit words, man, which means the mind, and tra, which means to draw away or to liberate. The mantras are spiritual sound vibrations. In other words, they're not material sound vibrations. They are names and attributes of the Supreme. And just like if you were somebody were to say, I can give you the taste of mango. All you have to do is say mango, 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 and you will taste mango. But you would just keep saying mango, and you're like, I don't taste mango, because it's a material sound vibration. But with mantras, they are names of God, and the names of God are non-different than God. And so when you practice mantra meditation, you will begin to taste, not only taste, because they're non-different, taste the happiness. It will help you understand self-realization, basically. And that's all I can say about it. So instead of talking too much about it, we're just going to get into it. In this case, what we're going to do is I'm going to sing some mantras, and the first time you just listen to it, take it in, and focus your mind on it. Put everything else in your mind away and just focus on this. And that's why it's meditation. You focus on it. The second time through, you can sing back with me, or you can just sing along or just listen. I'm I'm offering my respects to my spiritual teacher through this first mantra, who taught me the process of mantra meditation. Namo Vishnu Padaya, Krishna Prastaya Bhutale, Srimate Siddha Swarupananda, that's kirtan, and I'm just always going to do a little bit of it at the beginning and at the end. And if you want to know more about that, I think I have some on my YouTube channel here, and you can find it also on a Facebook page called Yoga Kirtan Hawaii. So if you want to know more about it, you can go there. So I'm going to start with an introduction. This is the Krishna book, right? An introduction by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, who is my, I call him my spiritual grandfather, because he is the spiritual master of my spiritual master, Jagaguru Siddha Swarupananda Srila Prabhupada, and taught him the same information, and his spiritual master also taught him, and his spiritual master had a spiritual master, and so on, all the way back to Krishna. So this introduction is by him, and he translated this book and made a commentary on it. So Krishna, 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 hey, Krishna, 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 hey, Krishna, 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 Raksha Mam, Krishna, 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 Pahi Mam, Raha Raghava, Rama Raghava, Rama Raghava, Rakshamam, Krishna Keshava, Krishna Keshava, Krishna Keshava, Pai Mam. Quote from the Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila. So actually, before I read the Krishna book, I always say a little prayer. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. You can repeat it after me if you want. It's offering my respects to Sri Krishna, by which this book and these pastimes are now being read. So this is from A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. While attempting to write this book, Krishna, let me first offer my respectful obeisances unto my spiritual master, Om Vishnupad 108, Sri Srimad Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada. Then let me offer my respectful obeisances to the Ocean of Mercy, Lord Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sri Krishna Chaitanya is the incarnation of Krishna, who 500 years ago inaugurated the hearing and chanting of Krishna's names. We'll get more into that later. He is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna himself, appearing in the role of devotee just to distribute the highest principles of devotional service. Lord Chaitanya began his preaching from the country known as Gauda Desha, West Bengal, and as I belong to the Madhava Gaudiya Sampradaya is a disciplic lineage. In other words, lineage of a spiritual master teaching disciples the information. So the information that is being taught here, the philosophy and spiritual wisdom, is not something that I personally made up, but it's just something that I'm handing down. Just like similarly, my spiritual master learned from his spiritual master. So sometimes in time and circumstance, certain things are tweaked to be able to relate to the day and age. Like maybe 100 years ago there were no computers, so if you're talking about something you might talk about cars or computers, but in the past you would talk about horses or whatever. So the Sampradaya is this, and the name of the Sampradaya that we're in is the Madhava Gaudiya Sampradaya. It's also known as the Brahma Sampradaya because the disciplic succession originally began from Brahma. Brahma is the creator demigod of this universe. Brahma instructed the sage Narada. Narada instructed Vyasadeva, who also compiled this. And Vyasadeva instructed Madhava Muni, or Madhavacharya, Madhavendra Puri, the originator of the Madhava Gaudiya Sampradaya, belonged to the Madhavacharya disciplic succession. He had many renowned disciples, both in the sannyas, renounced, and household order of life. Disciples such as Nityananda Prabhu, Adwaita Prabhu, and Ishvara Puri. Ishvara Puri happened to be the spiritual master of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So let us offer our respectful obeisances to Ishvara Puri, Nityananda Prabhu, Sri Adwaita Acharya Prabhu, Sri Vas Pandit, and Sri Gadadhar Pandit. Next, let us offer our respectful obeisances to Swarup Damodar, who acted as the private secretary to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and let us offer our respectful obeisances to Sri Vasudev Datta and the constant attendant of Lord Chaitanya, Sri Govinda, and the constant friend of Lord Chaitanya Mukunda, and also to Murari Gupta. Let us offer our respectful obeisances to the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan, Sri Rupa Goswami, Sri Sanatan Goswami, Sri Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, Sri Gopala Bhatta Goswami, Sri Jiva Goswami, Sri Raghunath Das Goswami. So, it's a lot of people. These are basically different devotees or people who serve or spiritual masters. So it's not important at this moment to really know, but we do offer our respects to people who are spiritually wise. We also offer our respects to everyone, regardless of whether they are a devotee of Krishna or not. Krishna himself has explained in the Bhagavad Gita that he is a supreme personality of Godhead. Whenever there are discrepancies in the regulative principles of man's religious life and a prominence of irreligious activities, he appears on this earthly planet. In other words, when Lord Sri Krishna appeared, there was a necessity of minimizing the load of sinful activities accumulated on this planet or in this universe. For affairs in the material creation, Lord Mahavishnu, the plenary portion of Krishna, is in charge. So that's a big talk about, Mahavishnu. Who's Mahavishnu? There are different kinds of expansions of the Supreme Lord, which we will get into another time. When Lord descends, the incarnation emanates from Vishnu. Mahavishnu is the original cause of material creation, and from him Garbhodakshai Vishnu expands, and then Kshirodakshai Vishnu. Generally, all the incarnations appearing within this material universe are plenary expansions from Kshirodakshai Vishnu. Therefore, the business of minimizing the overload of sinful activities on this earth does not belong to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna himself. But when Krishna appears, all the Vishnu expansions also join with him. This is an important point. It's oftentimes many Hindus believe that Krishna is a demigod expansion of Lord Vishnu, but actually Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and from him all emanations, including different Vishnu expansions, come that operate in certain factors, which we'll get into another time. When Krishna appears, all the Vishnu expansions also join with him. Krishna's different expansions, namely Narayan, the quadruple expansions of Vasudeva, Shankara, Shana, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha, as well as the partial plenary expansions of Matsya, or the incarnation of fish, and the Yuga avatars, the incarnations for the millennium, and the Manavatara avatars, the incarnations of Manus, all combine together and appear with the body of Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishna is a complete whole, and all plenary expansions and incarnations always live with him. When Krishna appeared, Lord Vishnu was also with him. Krishna actually appears to demonstrate his Vrindavan pastimes and to attract the fortunate conditioned souls and invite them back home, back to Godhead. The killing of the demons was simultaneous to his Vrindavan activities and was carried out only in the Vishnu portion of Krishna. In the Bhagavad Gita, 8th chapter, 20th verse, it is stated that there is another eternal nature, the spiritual sky, which is transcendental to this manifested and non-manifested matter. The manifested world can be seen in the form of many stars and planetary systems such as the sun, moon, etc. But beyond there is a non-manifested portion which is not approachable to anyone in this body. So this is a whole another subject matter, but importance of knowing the difference between spirit and matter. In other words, non-spiritual matter and spiritual form, spiritual energy and material energy. There are two forms of energy. Material science only claims one, and that's material energy, while denying the spiritual, because you can't measure a spiritual energy with a material energy, which is what empirical science is based on. It's all matter. So you can't use a material tool to measure a spiritual tool. The kingdom is described in the Bhagavad Gita as the supreme and eternal, and is never annihilated. This material energy nature is subjected to repeated creation and annihilation, but that part, the spiritual nature, remains as it is eternally. The supreme abode of the personality of Godhead Krishna is also described in the Brahma Samhita as the abode of Chintamani. That abode of Lord Krishna, known as Goloka Vrindavan, is full of palaces made of touchstone. And there are trees are called desire trees, and the cows are called Sarabi. The Lord is served there by hundreds and thousands of goddesses of fortune. His name is Govinda, the primeval Lord, and he is the cause of all causes. There the Lord plays his flute. His eyes are like lotus petals, and the color of his body is like that of a beautiful cloud. On his head is a peacock feather. He is so attractive that he excels thousands of cupids. Lord Krishna gives only a little hint in the Gita of his personal abode, which is the supermost planet in the spiritual kingdom. But in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Krishna actually appears with all his paraphernalia and demonstrates his activities in Vrindavan, then at Mathura, and then at Dwarka. The subject matters of this book will gradually reveal all these activities. The family in which Krishna appeared is called the Yadu dynasty. The Yadu dynasty belongs to the family descending from Soma, the god in the moon planet. There are different Kshatriya families of the royal order, one descending from the king of the moon planet and the other descending from the king of the sun planet. Whenever the Supreme Personality of Godhead appears, he generally appears in a Kshatriya family because he has to establish religious principles or the life of righteousness. The Kshatriya family is a protector of the human race according to the Vedic system. When the Supreme Personality of Godhead appeared as Lord Ramachandra, he appeared in the family descending from the sun god, known as Raghu Vamsha. And when he appeared as Lord Krishna, he did so in the family of Yadu Vamsha. There is a long list of kings in Yadu Vamsha in the 9th canto, 24th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam. All of them were great powerful kings. Krishna's father's name was Vasudeva, son of Shurasena, descending from the Yadu dynasty. Actually, the Supreme Personality of Godhead does not belong to any dynasty of this material world, but the family in which the Supreme Personality of Godhead appears becomes famous by his grace. For example, sandalwood is produced in the states of Malaya. Sandalwood has its own qualifications apart from Malaya, but because accidentally this wood is mainly produced in the states of Malaya, it is known as Malayan sandalwood. Similarly, Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, belongs to everyone. But just as the sun rises in the east, although there are directions from which it could rise, so, by his own choice, the Lord appears in a particular family, and that family becomes famous. So, this is going to go on. I'm going to read more of the introduction next time. Just going to get into it. So, feel free. This is not an expectation class. I'm just mainly reading from this wonderful literature, and you can just take it in. There's no expectations of whether you want to believe in it or not, but just feel free to listen to the stories. And I'm going to chant a little bit more. We will pick up next video. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasudeva Bhakta-vrinda Raja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasudeva Bhakta-vrinda Nitya Gaur, Nitya short but sweet. Thank you very much. We'll see you on the next video. Namaste.